Well, good evening, and I want to welcome you to this week's episode of the Fireplace Show. So, what's the Fireplace Show? Well, the Fireplace Show is a broadcast, and it's intended for the consumers across America to answer their burning questions about their fireplaces, their wood stoves, their gas logs, any type of hearth appliances. And that's the mission of which we have here. And we produce this show on a regular basis to helpfully answer the questions that you, an American consumer, may have about your fireplace. And tonight is no different. So, one of the questions we often get here is Jerry, we've had a chimney sweep come to our home. We just wanted the chimney swept, and we got some really bad news. They're telling us that we need to do some repairs to our fireplace. And the consumer, he thought he was coming into this and was going to spend a couple $100 to get that chimney swept and inspected. And what ended up happening now, the consumer finds out that it's going to cost them hundreds or maybe even thousands of dollars to correct the issues that this chimney sweep found. And what they come to us for and to other people is to get second opinions and find out, is this really true? So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to address a lot of the problems that are found in American chimneys and fireplaces. But the first thing is you might be wondering, why are there so many issues? Well, I can give you that answer. Many times, chimneys and fireplaces may have been built and codes and standards were not followed. And perhaps this is the first time that chimney has ever been professionally inspected by someone who's been trained and certified to do these types of inspections. So, does it raise a concern a lot of times? After all, as a customer, all you wanted was you wanted your chimney swept. And you find out now you've got these problems that your technician is telling you you need to take care of. Also comes into play is codes and standards over the last 40 years have been upgraded because of issues in the field, issues where there have been fires occurring in American homes, carbon monoxide problems, and other types of things. So tonight, let's talk about the problems that may be noted by a qualified inspector when he comes out, because this may be the very first time that chimney or that fireplace has ever been inspected. Or another situation is they've had another company do it previously, and they say, hey, my other guy never said nothing about these problems. So let's go into the problems of what people see. Probably one of the leading issues that consumers are told by a chimney sweep technician is that they have problems with water entry. Water entry is an issue. And why is it an issue? Because if water is getting into the chimney and it's being retained, it causes the chimney to deteriorate prematurely, and problems are found. This water entry can cause all types of issues to the exterior of the chimney, but also to the interior, the flue lining of the chimney, the smoke chamber, the firebox, and other areas. So where does this water come from? For one is at the top of your chimney, we have what's called the chimney crown. And many times these chimney crowns are cracked and they are weathered and they're not weathered away and they're not really proper. So where this crown, which should be made out of concrete, is made to shed the water off the chimney, it's penetrating into the chimney and causing interior damage to that chimney system. You can also be told that you have a problem with your flashing. What's the flashing? The flashing is where the roof itself is sealed to the chimney. And many times this is not properly done. And it's just like having a leaky gasket where the water can penetrate, get into the attic area, get down in the home, and it can cause premature rot, mold, and mildew to the combustible members that surround the chimney itself. And this can be a very, very real problem that can cause health issues, safety issues, and other things. What do sweeps also find in the field? Many times they find that the masonry materials themselves are very absorbent. So the water is actually being sucked into the brick and then wicked to the interior of the chimney. The solution for this is many times is for the exterior of the chimney system to be waterproofed. There are specific waterproofing formulas made for the chimney structure that should be applied. So what we see here is we see crowns are an issue. We see that flashing is an issue. We find where the chimney doesn't have a proper chimney cap to protect it. Think of it just like you're walking in the rain and you don't have an umbrella over you. What's going to happen is you're going to get wet and you get soaked. Know that feeling? But what happens with the chimney itself when it's made out of masonry materials? When the water saturates into it and it's retained, then the temperature drops below freezing. What happens then? The chimney goes through what's called a freeze-thaw cycle. And during the freeze-thaw cycle, what's happening here is the water that's been retained in the chimney is then expanding as it freezes. And what this does is causes minute cracks in the chimney system. And each and every time that it is wetted again and goes through this cycle, which is it drops below freezing and then comes back above freezing, we're putting a stress to the chimney system. So it's not uncommon to hear that a chimney has an issue with water penetration. And water is one of the most deteriorating factors that a chimney faces out there in the real world. So you need to be looking to those things. So don't be alarmed if you find out your crown is deficient, your flashing is improper, or the chimney may need to be waterproofed. Many times it's also going to be recommended that the chimney surface on the outside be cleaned with power washing before the water repellent is actually applied to the chimney itself. So those are problems with water entry on a chimney. Okay, so water entry, is it uncommon? No. Should it be corrected? Definitely it should. It's going to affect the long-term durability of the masonry materials. Now, another problem that often comes up is that a consumer may have what's called a fireplace insert. And what that is, that's a wood stove that's inserted into the fireplace opening. Well, see, for years, these units were simply slid into the fireplace. But back in 1984, the National Fire Protection Association upped their standards. And when an installation like this is done, what's supposed to be done and is commonly recommended is that we run a stainless steel pipe from the top of the appliance all the way to the top of the chimney. Now, why do we do this? We size the chimney to fit the appliance. By doing that, we make a much more efficient unit. It produces less creosote, and it's a much more efficient and effective installation than just sliding that stove into the fireplace. It's going to cut the wood consumption when you do this, and it's going to burn much cleaner, and it's going to be much healthier for the environment when you do it. So that's when you find it. In the industry, they may call this a slammer, they may call it a slide in insert, or any other different names. But should it be upgraded to present day standards? Definitely, definitely, there. And Shelley just had a good thing. Sounds great, but you need pictures, Shelley. So I'll agree, but anybody can go to Google and go to Google Images and find this information. I'm also going to give you some websites at the end to look up to give you information about chimneys and fireplaces. Another thing that you'll commonly hear is that your chimney liner may be damaged. And when we say it's damaged, it could be cracked. And the cracks occur from thermal events. The chimney is heated up too rapidly. And what this causes, it causes the chimney liner, which is made out of terracotta clay, very similar to glass. It makes it expand very rapidly. And from this expansion, we have what's called thermal shock. And the thermal shock will often crack the chimney tiles themselves. Now, we also may find that your chimney sweep comes out, and the chimney sweep will tell you that, hey, you've had a chimney fire occur in this chimney. Now, the thing is, when there is a chimney fire that has occurred, it's going to leave evidence. It's going to leave a very expanded type of creosote in the chimney system. One of the things that your sweep should be doing when they come out is taking digital photos of these problems so they can share this with you. What we also have available to the industry is we have interior video inspection devices. These are cameras that are actually inserted into the flue system and examine the interior of the chimney from mere inches away. The results of these are then recorded and stored in a digital format. And most sweeps in the US, what you'll find is as part of their sweeping operation, they're going to be doing a video scan. That's what we call it, of the interior of the chimney system. Some people call it a camera inspection. But again, what this is doing is it's taking a camera, lowering it into the chimney from above, and examines the interior of the chimney from mere inches away, and then projects it onto a digital screen and where the photographs can actually be stored digitally. Okay. Now, you may also find out that they tell you that the furnace flue, the water heater flue, the chimney that services the appliance that heats your hot water or heats your home, that it needs repairs. Now, why is this? Because these chimneys many times have deteriorated. Because whenever we heat our homes, we heat our hot water, what we're producing is we're producing a very corrosive flue gas that goes up in the chimney. And what it does, it can eat up normal lining materials. It can eat the mortar out of the chimney itself. So in this case, many times your suite may say, hey, you need to install a new lining system for that appliance. Another problem that's often noted by chimney sweeps during this service is they're going to report to you that you have gaps between your flue tiles. And the flue tiles are installed in either 1 foot or 2 foot sections, and they are put together with buttering where the mortar is placed between the flue tiles. But what happens through expansion, also due to water entry and the freeze thaw we've talked about, many times this mortar after a period of time is going to deteriorate and start falling from the system. We also have a widespread use of the wrong type of mortar used in chimneys. Whenever those flue tiles are put together, they should be sealed together with what's called a non-water soluble refractory. In other words, it doesn't break down from the moisture like we've talked about here. So again, these are all problems that exist in the real world. Are they problems? You better believe it. They really, really are. Now, another thing that your technician may note, he may report to you that there's indications of spillage. And when we say spillage, what we're talking about here is smoke is actually escaping from the fireplace front. How's this noted? Because usually when this occurs, there's going to be smoke staining above the top of your fireplace. If you're listening to me right now, take a really good look at your fireplace. Is there any darkened staining above the top of the chimney? Well, if you have this staining above the fireplace opening, that's indicative of what we call spillage of the smoke. And what that means is you're actually having flue gases that are poisonous escaping into your home. Often people will say, I love to use my fireplace because I love the smell of burning wood when it's in use. But here's the hard, cold facts. If you're using your fireplace and you're smelling smoke in the home, this is telling you you've got a problem. Or if you're smelling the fireplace the day after you're using it, smells like wet ashes around the house. Well, what these problems are, this is coming from a poor performance of the fireplace. And again, this is spillage and where the air may be pulling down the chimney into your home. This is what we call a pressure issue because your fireplace requires air for the combustion process to work properly. And without that air, we're going to have incomplete combustion. Now, here's another problem that people are often being made aware of. When many fireplaces have been built in this country, one of the problems we have is that brick masons have built the fireplace and they've used wood. That's correct, combustible wood underneath the floor of the fireplace. When you look in the fireplace, you're going to see there's a layer of brick, but underneath that, it's not supposed to be any combustible materials. But very often in the real world, we see these type of things have occurred. Now, so be aware of that. They may tell you that you have an issue with improper clearance to those type of things, which are actually concealed, but they can be seen many times with investigative tools, with the video cameras that we can utilize. We can look through clean out openings, through clean out doors and other things and spot these issues. So when this is told to you, don't be shocked. It's a very normal thing, and it's in a lot of fireplaces, but it is a potential safety hazard. Should it be taken care of? Yes, it should. Okay. Or you may have the sweep come in again and say, hey, you've had a chimney fire. And I think I went over this a while ago, but the chimney fire is going to leave a certain type of residue in the chimney system. And this is how we document that a chimney fire did occur. Because once combustion has occurred, there's going to be certain evidence in that flue system that's going to give us the information in order to make a judgment call of what's happened into this. Now, another thing that is in many consumers' homes is what we call a factory built fireplace. And a factory built fireplace is not made out of masonry materials. Predominantly, they're going to be made out of metal. So what often happens here is many of these factory built fireplaces have been installed in homes for a number of years. And basically, they have now outlived what we would call their usable lifespan. The durability has been compromised. The durability could have been compromised by lack of maintenance. It could have been compromised by misuse. It could have been compromised by the water entry issues that we talked earlier about. So again, all these are the various things that can go on with the chimney system. Another thing that your sweep technician is going to be looking for, he should have a tape measure with him. And what's he doing with this tape measure? The tape measure is where he's measuring several things. Number one, he's measuring the clearance to combustibles. He's measuring the size of the hearth extension. The hearth extension is that non-combustible platform right in front of the fireplace. He's also going to be measuring your fireplace opening to make sure that the flue size in your chimney is sized properly for that fireplace. Okay, so these again are the things that are going to be checked. Another common discussion that comes up is what in the area of the smoke chamber. And you might be asking, what's a smoke chamber? Well, if you look in your fireplace, usually you're going to have this damper that's going to be open. It's going to be a door at the top of the fireplace. So when you use the fireplace, what do? You open this door up so the smoke can go up. Well, above that is this dome shape part of the chimney itself. And this is what we call the smoke chamber. And many times your technician may tell you that your smoke chamber has voids, it has gaps, or it's not properly parged with non-water soluble refractory. All these are problems, and these are problems that need to be taken care of. And this is what the sweep's job is to do. The sweep is there to do several things. Number one, is he there to sweep the chimney? Yes, he is. But he's also there to do an inspection. And the inspection that he's providing is not one that he's made up. The criteria that your chimney sweep technician is following is one that's been developed by the National Fire Protection Association. And who is the National Fire Protection Association? Well, that is a group of fire chiefs, fire officials, building inspectors, technicians, and other people, and their job is to come up with the standards by which things operate. So what you're finding is whenever your sweep comes out, they're going to actually be following the criteria of the National Fire Protection Association for fireplaces, what we call their NFPA 211 standard. Now, what happens if you have these problems and you have your doubts? then the thing to do is get a second opinion. Get a second opinion. Now, who are you going to call to do this? Well, there's a couple things that I would recommend you do. Number one, you want to find a company that services your market area, that's based in your market area. Okay. And in Google searches, many times you got to dig a little bit deeper. But when you find these people, you're looking for several things. Number one, read their reviews. See, that's the neat thing about the internet today. The internet provides you the basic tool to research for a company, and you can find out how happy their previous customers are and what their star rating is. Now, don't expect everybody to have a 5. You can't make everybody happy all the time. You're looking for companies that have a rating of 4.7 to 4.8 on the star rating according to Google. You can also look on their company Facebook pages and you can see reviews on their Facebook pages. Now, you're also looking for other things. And one of them is, has the technician that you are working with, that you're calling into your home, is it what we call a certified technician? So to give you some information about where to find these, there's a couple different groups that you can look up. One is the National Chimney Sweep Guild. The National Chimney Sweep Guild has a certification side that's called the Certified Chimney Professional. So where do you find information about this group of people? And also, you really want to hire a company that's a member of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. And why is that? Because they have signed a code of ethics by which to operate. So I'm going to put the website for the National Chimney Sweep Guild into the chat bar right now. It is ncsg.org. And you can go in there and locate both companies and individuals that have passed their certification. Now, another place that you can look is the Chimney Safety Institute of America. And I'm going to post their website in here also, which is www.csia.org. So this is another location that you can go to and you can check the qualifications of the technician that's coming to your home. So I've just posted that into the comment bar. So that's also an excellent resource for you of having a technician coming into your home. Another group that certifies installers is the National Fireplace Institute. And the National Fireplace Institute, I'm going to put their website in right now, which is nficertified.org. So you can also look in that listing of technicians to find somebody that's skilled and certified in the installation of gas appliances, wood burning appliances, and pellet burning appliances. Again, the purpose of our broadcast is not to sell the services of my company. My name is Jerry Eisenhower. My company is CVC Success Group. What we do is we work with service companies across America in training. We do consulting work and we coach people in these various industries. So are we going to send someone to your house to do this? Is that part of our mission in this? No. Our mission in having this show is to give you the solid information that you need, because I understand what it's like. You've had a sweep come to your home and basically he's broke your heart. Let's get real. He's come out, you hired him to sweep your chimney, but his job is to make you aware of the issues that may exist in your chimney. And many of these issues do exist in chimneys across America. I've been in this business a lot of years, over 40 years, and I'm a past president of both the Chimney Safety Institute of America and the National Chimney Sweep Guild, and I've also served on the board of governors of the National Fireplace Institute. So what we want to do is we want to share with you the information that you need in order to make the best decisions you can for your own home and for your own family. You can see my email address on the screen right now. So if you have any questions about your fireplace, your wood stove, your gas logs, or other things, feel free to send me an email. I'll be glad to work with you and see if we can help you find the answers you need. Remember, you're burning a fire in your home. So, with that in mind, we got to be able to do it safely, efficiently, and effectively. And with that, we're going to end tonight's episode of The Fireplace Show. I hope this has given you some helpful information and something that you'll be able to use in your own home maintenance programs. Talk to you next time on the next episode of The Fireplace Show. Thanks a lot for joining me.